Hi everyone, my name is Nathaniel Liu. I'm a research intern here at the MAST Program, and today I'm going to be presenting our poster on whether the Rome criteria meaningfully shift DGBI research trends, and we did a global bibliometric analysis for this poster. How a disease is defined determines how it is studied. For disorders of gut-brain interaction, or DGBIs, the Rome criteria has been the organizing definitional framework for the last couple decades, with the Rome 4 criteria having been released in 2016. These criteria lead to improved outcomes through standardizing patient cohorts and allowing physicians to diagnose patients based on organized definitional frameworks. In many other fields, these revisions in criteria have allowed physicians to better diagnose patients and led to advancements in patient care. However, in contrast, it remains unclear if the major Rome revisions have significantly shifted the course of scholarly output in the DGBI ecosystem, and this is especially important to study as Rome 5 is anticipated to come out in May of 2026. Therefore, we conducted a global bibliometric analysis to determine whether Rome revisions were associated with measurable changes in publication volume and study design. By quantifying this relationship, we aim to clarify if Rome revisions translate into measurable scientific momentum and better patient diagnoses. In this study, we analyzed three main databases: PubMed, Web of Science, and Cochrane. From those three databases, we took only primary research articles and excluded secondary research articles, including peer reviews, editorials, and journals. We then, for ease of classification and to avoid double counting studies, combined some of the DGBI subcategories from the Rome 4 criteria, which ultimately led us to only having 37 DGBI subcategories which we used for our data analysis. We then classified each study by whether they were epidemiological or non-epidemiological and prevalence-based, and used that to extract our data. After our data was extracted, we used a Lorenz curve with a Gini coefficient and a chi-square test to analyze our data. Ultimately, our study included 852 publications representing 37 DGBIs. 5 DGBIs accounted for over 78% of all publications, with IBS counting for 52% of the studies and functional constipation accounting for 17%. 15 disorders also utilized the Rome criteria in one or less studies across all of these databases that we saw. Inequality metrics confirm this very concentrated distribution as well, with a high Gini coefficient of 0.82 and a chi-square value of 8,826 and a p-value of less than 0.001. Additionally, most of our studies focused on prevalence, especially after the publication of Rome 4, related to how these diagnoses changed between the Rome 3 and Rome 4 revisions. Over 81% of the literature were observational studies or related to clarifying prevalence, with only 16% related to determining disease pathophysiology, showing us that most of the papers we saw were not directly related to advancing patient care. So in conclusion, research on Rome 4 DGBIs is highly concentrated, with a small number of disorders accounting for the majority of all publications, while many of these disorders remain minimally studied or not studied at all. The literature is also dominated by observational and prevalence-based studies, with relatively limited experimental investigation into the underlying pathophysiology and biomarkers of the diseases. This is very important for research because for research to be translated into direct patient care, there are requirements for well-defined endpoints from trials, and the relative scarcity of experimental studies that are shown may limit the development of these endpoints, which can slow the progress of clinical trial frameworks, which can lead to hindrance in patient care. Thank you so much for listening to my poster. Make sure to check out all the other posters that MAST has at DDW 2026.